We're just a few steps away from finishing the exterior of our tiny house. To recap, we bought this piece of land in Portugal a year ago. It's a 10,000 square meters property with two parts. The smaller portion of land that sits at the top and then the bigger part at the bottom. It was completely abandoned, very overgrown, and in the middle of everything sat this abandoned house. Last year, we cleared the land, uncovered a ruin that was hidden under the brambles, and discovered a path that led to the lower part of the land, which had been completely covered by undergrowth. Then we started our first project, the yurt. We built a traditional Nepalese tent to shelter us on the land. It took about 2 months to complete and was really important project for us because before that we knew absolutely nothing about construction. Thankfully, with Gary's help, we started learning a lot more, which gave us the confidence to begin other projects on the property. With the yurt ready, we moved on to the upper part of the land. We expanded the old garage area, built a massive wooden structure, which the wind later blew away, demolished the old house because later on this year we're going to focus on building a new modern home. We already have the planning for it, and soon it will be our main project on the land. We also drilled a well since there was no water here on the land, and now we're working on 2 projects at the same time. Our stone retaining wall, which holds back the soil from the wheel side, and our tiny house, which we're building from scratch on a trailer. So that's a quick summary of everything we've done over the past 12 months. And there's still a lot more to come, so welcome to another video. In the last video, we installed our metal roof, but there were still some parts missing, which we're going to finish in this video. Welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna finish our roof, our metal roof, fascia cap, the cap for the roof, everything, and our thermal wood has arrived. We're gonna talk about that later, and we're gonna try to install as much as we can in this video. And this week I'm alone. It is not here. She is in Italy traveling with her friends. Some parts of the roof are still missing, like our fascia caps. This section of the tiny house has a very slight slope, around 6 degrees, so I had to cut the end of each piece to match that angle. To install them, I hammered in a nail, and in the end they looked great. But as I mentioned, we're also building a stone wall, and we're almost done. And there's more stones for the finishing of our roof. We're finishing up the wall, and Thiago brought these flat stone slabs to cap the top and give it a clean finish. For the update, our stone wall is coming all the way from the entrance of the land all the way to our container. It's about 50 meters, and my initial idea was to make this stone wall until the container. It would stop right there on the container, but Thiago gave us a really good idea. I want to hear your opinion about it. So my initial idea was for the stone wall to stop right here, and then we will have like 20-30 meters left of land to put stone wall, but I wouldn't do that now. But Thiago gave me a really nice idea. Why don't we make the stone wall all the way to the end, but this container, we take this out of here and we dig a hole, a huge hole inside the hill, and we put the container in like as if it was inside the hill right here. So what we were gonna see is the stone wall, the 2 doors of the container, and the stone wall again. This way our container would become like a bunker, and will free up a lot of space from this part, so we can have more ideas here for this part and still have the container. But I thought this was a really cool idea, at least in theory. I want to see your opinion about this idea, because this will free up a lot of space, and that's something that I never seen before. You put a container as if it was a bunker, and in the future I can make something like a game room with this container, like a hidden game room that with like a man's cave, literally man's cave inside the hill. It's a great idea, but we need to think about the risks. Just imagine how cool it would look to hide the container behind the stone wall in this drone shot. I think you can get the picture in your head. So the moment we've been waiting for, the wood for the cladding has arrived. We are going to install it vertically, because vertical lines give the impression that the house is taller. Just like in fashion, where vertical stripes make a person look slimmer, and horizontal ones make them look wider. This is the thermal wood. They put this wood in like an oven in a really high temperature, something like 200 degrees Celsius, and that should kill every chemical structure in the wood. And in the end of the process, it still smells like a wood, smells really nice though. It still looks like a wood, but it doesn't have any disadvantages that normal wood has, like humidity, absorption, and some other stuff. It's a really expensive wood. I'm gonna tell the prices in the end of the video. And we bought pieces 2 meters 50. We bought 160 pieces to cover the whole tiny house. Well, I really like this wood. It smells really nice, it looks really nice, and this around the whole tiny house will be looking amazing. So let's go. So to start the installation, I trim off the excess of the house wrap at the base and removed the leftover expanding foam we applied under the window when we installed it. You can't install wood cladding directly onto the OSB panels, because OSB doesn't provide enough structural support. So first, I screwed in vertical battens directly into the frame of the house every 40 centimeters. Let's go for our first piece of thermal wood, and this piece is in angle. There's a cut here, an angle right there is the first piece that we're gonna do. I took 1 hour for this piece, not for the cutting, but to get confident that yes, I'm starting and there's no way back. Because once I start, if I think something, oh, I should have done this before and I have to do this all again, I will lose a lot of time and I'll lose the piece, the material, and that's not good. So I really took my time thinking and watching videos to see if there's anything else that I should have done, or if the buttons there were right, and testing here and there before saying, okay, I'm 100%, let's go with this, because it's a really nice and expensive wood that I have, and I'm alone here. It is not here with me. So she's very good at saying, yes, call Bogdan, or do this, do that, let's research more, and yeah, okay, enough talking. Let's do this one. Let's get started. And the first board is super important. Since the boards interlock, they all follow the angle of the first one. So I checked the level like 10 times and made sure everything was perfectly aligned before installing. And then I knew something was not right. And there was something. The buttons that I used for this wall, they are not treated. And you cannot use for exterior siding buttons that are not treated, because once I install my nails from my thermal wood to my buttons, give it like 2 or 3 years and this work will disappear. Because with water and moisture, these buttons will not be able to sustain my thermal wood. So what I have done is, I took my van and went to a wood place and bought some treated buttons. You know when it's treated, when it has some of these green stains on it, and they're all treated, they're all good. I bought like 70 pieces, and this should be enough to cover the whole tiny house. So yeah, there was something off. I knew that. That's why I just installed one thermal wood. Now I'm gonna continue installing all of them. And for these buttons that I already nailed to the tiny house, I'm gonna give it a treat with this wood treatment paint. Give it like 1 or 2 coats, and this should be enough for at least this wall. And all of the walls I'm gonna do with the new buttons I just got. Well, long term, I already had these buttons on the land, so I figured I would just use them. But thank goodness I thought that early, because the rest of the house we use properly treated buttons. I started cutting the first boards, and I tried to be as precise as possible since this will all be visible. I also ordered this thermal wood almost exactly to the length of the tiny house to minimize waste, so I don't really have a lot of pieces to waste. Installation was super easy. I lined up each board and used my finishing nail gun to fix it into the buttons. Little pause for the stones for our stone wall. These two stones are blocking, and they're not leaving. He's gonna try to take that out. The stones weren't moving, so he lowered the truck bed to relieve the pressure, then he drove forward and slammed the brakes to try to move the stones. Finally, mission accomplished. Stones were delivered successfully. On the last stone delivery, Ada told me that she felt the floor trembling like an earthquake. I didn't feel, but now I felt really bad. Well, now we have more stones to complete our wall. If you're wondering, these stones that you just saw, they cost me 500 euros. And in the end of the wall, I'm gonna tell you how much we spent on stones, on work, on everything. And we don't have a lot of stones. It's hard to find more and more stones. That's why this wall should be done, but it's not done. But this should be the last delivery. And this is the stone wall so far. Thiago just bought these flat stones for the finishing. It's looking really nice. And he's gonna put some cement to finish this part. In theory, this should be the last delivery, but I wanna know your guys' opinion about the idea that Thiago brought of the container. If we should dig and put the container inside the stone wall, or we just leave it like that. Back to the cladding. Once I got the hang of it and gained more confidence, I was able to get it into the flow and work much faster. The trickiest parts were the angled ones. This point in the middle actually turned out really nice. To find the angle, I used two pieces of scrap wood. One follows the installed board and the other lines up with the roof angle. Then I trace a line, set my saw to match the angle and cut. That way I don't have to do any math or guesswork. Way easier. Well, that's it for today. I didn't finish the whole wall, but just a little bit. I'm just so hungry. And well, look at that with the stone wall. This stone wall looks so good, so nice. Okay, and now it's time for our shower. The best thing in the world is you have your own water. This water is not so cold, not so hot as well. But the most important is that we have infinite water. Oh, time for shower. Shower, check. Let's go eat. Vamos comer. Vamos comer. Vamos comer. Vamos lá comer. Bora comer. Bora comer. E senta, fica. Vai, good boy, vai. Vai lá, vai. Good boy, vai. Good boy. We got a really nice restaurant with a really fair price near the land, but today I want to eat some junk food, you know, those days. So let's go get a McDonald's. The secret of McDonald's is always order double cheeseburger, because the best burger in McDonald's menu is one of the cheapest ones, and it's very good. Good morning. It never gets old. It's always so good to sleep in the earth. But let's get to work. And let's finish this wall. And I have a very hard cut now. There will be a piece in angle all the way from the top until this part, but a very small, like 3 centimeters part of that piece will go all the way down until here. Let's go get that. Let's go make that one. For these cuts, I used 3 different tools. I started with the circular saw for the straight cuts, followed up with the miter saw for a small adjustment, and finished off with the jigsaw, and the final fit was perfect. And that was our last board. My boards were 2.5 meters long, so in some areas they weren't long enough, so I had to join them with the smaller pieces. One piece was so thin that it split when I nailed it, so I had to replace with another one. Meanwhile, Eda was having an amazing time there in Sicily. Look how pretty! Our first wall. The only thing that's left is the reveal. This side, that side, and on the top. Let's do that! This part was actually easy. I just had to measure the space between the window and the cladding. So I just made a cut with the circular saw and then installed the top section first, then the sides. I really like this wood. Any cut I make always turns out looking clean and well finished. This first wall is 100% almost done. It's really nice wood. Look at that. Thermal wood, really good. Some parts that I really liked, the angle up there, I think I did it really good. The reveals for the windows, also really good, and it's really flush here at the bottom. Some parts that I didn't like so much is that the length of this wood is 250. And at some parts I had to cut the wood on a half because it wasn't enough length to cover the wall. Some parts were like 3 meters and 250 won't cover, but only some parts. This for me was the hardest wall because first it was the first wall, and all those angles and the window in the middle and the buttons that I had I was struggling to see all these buttons, and the buttons I had were really bad, but I think I managed to do this right, and let's go for the second one. Well, I wanted to get a lot more done in this video, but I spent a long time learning and figuring out how to do things properly, so there wasn't as much visible progress. But in the next video, you'll see the tiny house looking absolutely beautiful, fully wrapped in this amazing cladding. Now let's talk about the costs. We had two main expenses in this video, the thermal wood and the treated buttons. About 60 treated buttons for 165 euros. And as I mentioned, we got 160 of this 2.5 meters thermal wood. The total cost for that, including delivery and VAT, was 2,425 euros, bringing our total construction cost so far to 16,333 euros. Subscribe and see you on the next video.